All right, we're up. This is the Our Town with Troy By, and when we have a second guest, there's no surprise here. I'm not going to do any sort of surprises. In the past, I would just be on me, but then I thought, well, you know what? By the time they see it, they've already seen the guest's name, so it's kind of
Sure.
like pointless to be like, here, who's our guest today? Yeah. Oh, you actually could probably read it, but it's Alisa. Is it MacQuinn?
It's MacQuinn.
MacQuinn.
You said it right. Yep.
And Chelsea McKinney.
Hi.
How are you all?
Good.
Doing
Thanks.
great.
And as the logo on the bottom right says, for those that are watching, it's the Property Moms podcast, which is fairly new in episode 3 or 4.
3 have been released.
Yeah.
Working on the 4th.
4 is coming.
Yeah.
Should have been here yesterday. Yeah. But
Okay.
it'll be here shortly.
Fairly because both of you are in real estate, right? And with Leading Edge.
Yep.
Yes.
And for those who have not followed the show or watched all the episodes, Leading Edge is a merger acquisition, if you will, from Revolved Realty, where you all used to work with leading. Was it United Real Estate is the parent company?
Yes,
Is that right?
United.
Do I have that right? So can you remind us of that acquisition and the merger and what took place?
I'm going to let
Chelsea.
her do that.
Sure. My dad and I started Revolved Realty in April 2018. And let's face it, he was the face of it. I was like, the silent partner, just doing my own thing. And that's what Dad does. He's a business builder, right?
Yeah.
He loves building companies, growing them. And this year, I think we were hovering at 90 to 95 agents. And we were at the point where we were either going to have to really up our game in terms of what we were providing to our agents. And that would have cost a lot of money to provide them the things that we would need to provide in order to compete with the big boys. Okay. And, but also our model was a little different. We were transaction fee brokerage. So we had 90 to 95 agents and, we're not getting 30% of their 3% commission as, the brokerage. And so, I think our transaction fees range from $500 a transaction to $2,000 a transaction, mostly. Okay. And so it was either provide the stuff and go broke, I feel like, or we could merge with someone who had already taken the steps to get these things for their agents. And Leading Edge in 2022, they had done a merger type acquisition with United. So that was already in place. And it just, I think Danny Sullivan and my dad, they were pals, and they had kind of joked about it. Dad always jokes about how Danny was the one who tried to get him in real estate first. And they had kind of talked about it in passing, and it just kind of came to be that it made the most sense for our agents. Really nothing was going to change for our agents other than the logo, and everything was actually going to get better. So we were really excited to complete that merger this past summer. And I think that, we're growing like crazy. I do think we have, people are interested. People are curious. There were some, naysayers.
Sure.
At the beginning who were like,
Your own employees?
oh, no.
No.
Haters. Competition.
Okay.
That were like, oh, they've sold out. They're not like a mom and pop shop anymore. They're, they're sellouts. They're going out of business, that kind of thing. Actively trying to scoop our agents and stuff because we were
Competition hates growth.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
hate it. Yeah.
It's a good recruiting tactic.
Oh,
then,
yeah.
right?
So many of our agents got calls the day we announced, and they were,
Sure.
they love what we've got going on. So obviously they told
It was kind of just like a joke. Like every time we'd get one, I'd be like, "Oh, I just got the call,"
Yeah.
and I kind of like laughed it off.
Yeah.
And then someone else would say, "Me too." And
Posting in like the group on Facebook, who just got a call from so and so.
So-and-so.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then, Alisa, you're an agent with Revolved, or
So-
were with Revolved before?
yeah, so
For just a little,
or just
tiny
like,
little
not-
bit.
maybe a couple weeks. Yeah, so I'm a newer agent, which is what makes the podcast kind of even that much more cool because, you know, I'm what I call a baby agent, fresh from the womb, like just out here learning all the ropes. And Chelsea's like a very seasoned agent. So it's good that she's my friend because she helps me out when I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But it's also interesting because, I was with Revolved for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, and then happens.
And she was super quiet the whole time. No,
It was a big secret.
It was this big secret. And then like they were like, let's come together and have this big announcement. And I did not feel the least bit scared. And part of that is because I know Chelsea. I've known her since high school.
Yeah.
And her dad I've also known because we were, friends, and she was my wedding. And so I just knew him, and I knew that they were going to take care of me. So there was I was like, let's do it. Let's grow. This is going to be awesome. And everything that was great about Revolved before just got exponentially even better.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
Yeah.
And some substantial people have come along to join since then because they know.
Yeah, there was like within the last week, right? You posted one female agent, can't remember her name, right?
Probably Kathy, who came over. She's a high producer, so we had been talking to Kathy for a while. But Megan Jones, she's our new Decatur broker. Because,
That's right. That's the one I was thinking.
Yeah,
of.
Valerie, love her to death. She is. She and her husband will be moving here soon, so we knew she was going to have to. Somebody was going to have to step in and fill those shoes. So
Right.
yeah, Megan.
So the other things that you all do, you just started a roofing company with your husband Ammon.
Yep.
And you also do photography.
I
right?
do real estate photography specifically. And I also do headshots. Like I did 2 days straight of headshots yesterday and the day before. But my sole thing is home sweet home photography. So it does real estate photography.
Okay. Which I feel like this is like a really fun episode in a way, because I think one of the best things in life is when you can go through the process of buying a home, selling a home, even if it's crazy. It's just like this really unique thing. We built a house, so we've done that, and then we've bought existing homes. We've had literally like 5 seconds to decide because the market was so hot. So you just think back on these experiences that you have, or picking colors and just designs and all that. So it just touches on, you interview people like you all in real estate, and your mind is always just going with my own experiences, right? And I didn't know my house looked so good until a really good photographer, this in Virginia, took a bunch of pictures. Like, so why do we want to move? It looks fantastic.
I know, right? I've done all sorts of photography over the last 12 years. I started out like just learning my camera, doing nature, wildlife, landscapes, and I still love doing that. That's very like calming and comforting and just like brings
therapeutic
me back to it. Yes. But then I had friends that were like, "Oh, you own a camera? Will you take pictures of me?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So it evolved in like family and engagements. Did a couple weddings. I did newborns. I even did a few boudoir sessions for really close friends of mine, which was honestly super fun and like women empowering. It was amazing to watch like these women come in like, "Oh, I don't know," and then by the end of it, they were like, "Yes, girl, like loving this." But yeah, so when I got back into, I say back into real estate because Chelsea and I technically went to real estate school together.
We did
10, 11 years ago. And she held true and went through, and I had a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I say get back into real estate. But when I did, it just felt natural to go into real estate photography. I was like, ooh, another cool like aspect of photography that I really want to learn. And I'm self-taught. So like Nathan Cool is a really big YouTube guy who does real estate photography. And I just dove into all his stuff and taught myself, and it's been super fun, and I love it. And it goes hand in hand with real estate. So
yeah,
it's good.
Well, and we've talked about this on our podcast, but like getting into real estate right now is a little bit of a questionable thing. So like to have a backup or like another job, another income producing something that you do, it's really helpful now.
You guys talked about in your episode 3, right? Like the numbers from September last year to this year, like
Yeah.
the total home sales are down, but yet the
Yeah.
listings are up. So,
Yeah.
and buyers are just coming in, and you guys were making that great comparison to like Facebook Marketplace. And people have like lost their, like post COVID, people have literally lost their minds when it comes to like common sense or business sense
Yes.
on just kind of like, and or even California, I guess like in Walmart, you can just go in and steal what you want, and you can't, there's no recourse, right?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. So it's just, can I just have this for free? And
Yeah.
I was chuckling at that, you know,
Yeah.
like, and you all were talking about, well, what are those things you would just give away? Like, okay, baby diapers, and
Yeah.
you can give me your sad story, which is probably not true as to why you can't afford to pay $20 for something.
Right.
But at the same time, depending on what it is, yeah.
Like
and then
if it's a necessity,
yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've done that so many times. Like
Yeah.
I have such a heart for moms. And that's just because of, my many experiences as being a mom, but, between like having that mom's group and then doing this and everything else. But yeah, you message me and you say, hey, listen, I am down on my luck. I don't even care if your story's true or not. If you're asking for diapers, sure thing. Come pick them up.
Yeah.
Free of charge. No problem. You know, I have no problem doing that. You want to message me about a punching bag? girl?
$150 punching bag.
Get real. Get out of here.
Paid $150 for that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, no. And I've been using it. So like, I don't know if you really want to mess with me. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, there's also that, you'll talk about like decluttering, and whether it's because you're moving or it's just time to declutter. There's been so many times where like after the fact, my wife will be like, hey, I got rid of this thing today. You're like, how much? You're like $10. Like, I paid like $200 for it, or something like, but at the end of the day, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I bought a Power Wheels for my kid like the other day, and I looked it up online. It was $350, and the guy gave it to me for $80.
That's amazing.
I didn't ask. Well, we knew him from high school too, but he was already priced that way. But I was like, that's a steal, man. And in that case, I'm like, yeah, all day. But I'm not gonna message him and be like, will you take 40?
Right.
That's 10 times less than what it's worth,
so Chelsea has Archer is 4, right? And
Archer
little
just turned
Warren,
4.
is he 2?
He's 2.
And then your children are how old? You have
I have an
one that's
8-year-old.
older, right?
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old and I have a 20-month-old.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate doing the math of months.
I know.
She'll be 2 in February. So I should just start saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I also showed that clip earlier is, and I can't, my oldest is 24 and my youngest is 16. And when I look at that clip, I don't see myself as being like old, like I was 46, I guess, during that clip. But I know I am. And I'll look at people and I'll assume they're like way older than me. And then I find out they're younger than me. I'm like, I'm at this point in life where I'm just like, I don't know. I'm like detached. I have lost all sense of age. And like, do people really watch this? Do I look like I'm almost 48? Like, because in that picture, I thought I looked like I was,
48.
I don't know, 36 or something.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I'm 35.
35?
Same. Mm-hmm.
35?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I look 29? Because that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, I would say you guys could probably pull off 30.
I have such a
Station.
baby face.
29 or 30.
Yeah, I've never looked like an adult to myself. When I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, I look like a child. So I'll never probably look at myself and think I look old.
But yeah, I know that when I was younger, I would look at a 46-year-old as like a complete grandpa,
Yeah.
That's terrible.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I guess it could be.
that's the way I
It's
just
true.
assumed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just had no concept. But I guess maybe it's just as you get older, like everything in your whole perspective, I guess, just changes, right?
Yeah. It sure does, especially this day and age.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do have to, before I forget, let me, you kind of touched on it earlier, but I love Tim Knox, her father, because I do feel like he's kind of like a King Midas in a way. I think that, and I know it's day to day, their struggles, and Chelsea's had a front row seat to this guy, and I barely know him, but seemingly, right, in the time I've talked to him, the research I've done, he's successful. But he also works his tail off.
Oh, man.
And he's the worst guest when it comes to like, hey man, tell me about your hobbies. Like, I work.
Yeah.
Oh, like pickleball? No. What about this? No, I take care of my family and I take care of my grandsons and I work. Okay. So then no wonder to some degree, right? That there is success when it comes to business or raising kids and helping your kids succeed in business when there's that devoted time and attention.
What's really funny is that since the merger, he's not having to do as much. Okay, he's not payroll, he's not HR, he's not all of these things because there are people in place. on the weekends, he's like, I think I need to get a second job.
He's almost
like
like
I'm
a new-
so bored. And I'm like, come get these kids,
He's
Bumpa.
like an empty nester, you know, or like a new retiree. He's
Yeah.
like, I don't know what to do with myself right now.
It's so funny.
He's like, but he has always kind of been that way. So he used to do, well, and now they like part of the new agent training is adapted from this, but he used to do like this fast track new venture course that Chelsea and I both did, which was for entrepreneurs.
Yep.
And even then, like, I think that was right after Madison Guns, right? Okay. So he has always been like so much of a go-getter, but he's also the kind of guy that will literally give you like the shirt off of his back.
Yeah.
Well, and like as successful as he is in all of his businesses, like his greatest success is like being a grandpa.
Yeah.
Like I can't even,
He loves it.
I
He
can't even
absolutely loves
tell
it.
you
Yeah.
what a fantastic granddad he was a wonderful dad, and he still is a wonderful dad. Like who was I telling this the other day? I was talking to a friend, and I was like, I feel like our generation of husbands, okay, are not our parents' generation of husbands who like, I feel like our parents walked around, like the dads walked around with a camcorder, recording everything. Like they were very present. They wanted to have these memories and stuff like that. And like now if I want pictures with me and them with my kids, I have to pay for them, right?
Yeah.
Because, and that's not saying all dads, but like that was my dad to a T, right? He was so present. He was always there. He wanted to make those memories, and he still does, and he still wants to do that with my boys. I mean, he bought a house 5 doors down for me, for goodness sake. Like, he wants to be so present, and like, I could talk about it all day.
Well, even
It's
the
so
other day,
fantastic.
like, we were trying to figure out some sort of editing something, and he was like, I'll be right there. And he just walked right down and was like, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, let's,
Yeah.
he's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw way too many absent dads growing up amongst friends. I didn't have a dad with me, but like you just observe it. And then when you finally have your own kids, like you just at some point you have to change
Yeah.
and break the cycle
Well, and
to
not
some
to get
degree,
like
right?
too heavy into this because it's going to be a fun episode. But like, so my oldest daughter is from my first marriage.
Right.
And my ex-husband is very like not present in her life. He is enough to be obnoxious to me because he knows it like riles me up. But it's been really difficult to navigate that with her. And she's aware enough, she's bright enough that she's like, this doesn't feel right. And I don't think this is like right for me. This doesn't feel like the kind of relationship that I think is valuable. And so trying to navigate those waters with like how to set her up so that she doesn't learn that that's the expectation for a relationship.
Yeah.
Your brain doesn't fully develop till you're 25. So I think that's why so many young girls get in that rut where they're like, they call it daddy issues, but it's like you're still developing, mentally. And so it's been hard waters to navigate, trying to just get her to realize that's not normal and that's not okay. It's not okay to accept that behavior. So,
Well, apparently your feet don't stop growing either.
Man,
don't even
That-
talk to us about
I ain't
feet.
good feet.
Somehow Chelsea went from a size 10 to a size 11 while she was pregnant.
I have
How's
heard,
that possible?
I've heard it's because your arches fall.
Okay.
However, I didn't have arches to begin with. I am the most flat-footed person you will ever meet.
Yeah.
But I've heard that it's because your arches fall. And they
And then it
don't
just
go
stretches out.
back.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't go back.
I mean, I guess I could see that because like some people gain, like 30 to 50 pounds when they carry. So
So it's-
me.
Does that mean
did.
then like certain shoes you could like wear prior and like no longer felt good?
I couldn't wear any of the shoes that I wore prior.
Well, that's true.
They were all
Well-
donated.
Yeah, because I guess I was thinking if you had a size 11 that was it's assumed there was an arch in it because you wore a 10 with an arch, would that feel different?
I don't even think I owned 11s at that point.
Okay.
see, all I ever bought was 11s because
you were like a 10
technically
and a
I
half.
was a 10 and a half
Yeah.
and nobody makes 10 and a half. So mine probably did grow because now all my 11s feel
Perfect.
great now. So
Yeah.
mine probably did go up like half a size. Yeah.
So let's first let me ask you a little bit how you met. You went to Bob Jones.
We went to Bob Jones
And-
together.
We actually went to Liberty Middle School together.
We did.
First.
So I came here. I was originally from Dothan, Alabama. I
Okay.
come from a military family. So my dad was up here. My parents were divorced, and I eventually moved up here because I was like, Dothan is, like so boring and, whatever. So I moved up here, and I was a horse riding girl. So like all the action was up here. And so I came up, I was only at Liberty for 1 year. So I think that we had like 1 or 2 classes.
So
together.
that might have been 9th grade.
It was
Because we
ninth
were
grade.
still, yeah.
Yep. And we were like friendly in high school,
I
but
think we had lunch together.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it wasn't even until, because I think we sat with Corbin for like one of those anyways, but it wasn't even until after high school. It was like 2010, and we went to the Y and we both took Zumba together. And so we were like, hey, we went to high school together. And then from there, it was just like,
Yep.
you sweat it out, man. You become best friends.
Yeah. I guess I had picked up on that in one of your episodes where you guys had reference working out together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do that again.
We really need to. Yeah.
Now, do you both live now in the Bob Jones district?
I do.
I
Okay.
do not.
You
I
not?
actually live in Harvest right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I plan to kind of head this way. My dad still lives in the same house, so maybe I'll kick him out and
There you go.
or I'll move him to the
Trade.
mother-in-law's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I first came here 2 years ago, before I moved here, I came just like for work. And Harvest was the first area I went to. I was downtown at like the Von Braun for a convention thing, and I headed up. Is it what's like a Memorial? I think. What's the one that passes A&M?
It's Memorial.
Is that
Broadway.
Memorial? Okay. Because it's funny because I spent a bunch of time. I looked at a bunch of homes up there, and then my wife came down separately to look at homes, and then she just like chose one and bought one here. Obviously, this house. And so I don't go up into Harvest much anymore. I had nothing against it. In fact, when I saw Sparkman High School, I was like, that's a pretty cool school.
It is a cool school. Yeah. And especially now they've made the little sky bridge
bridge.
and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
It's like a freshman campus, and then there's like
Yeah. Yeah. So now you lived in Virginia
Northern Virginia.
before this. Yeah. How do you feel like it compares?
It's very similar. This reminds me of what Virginia was going through in the 80s as far as growth
Yeah.
and explosion. It's very similar in tons of federal government jobs. Obviously, the federal government's much larger up there.
Yeah.
And it's last night, actually, I was interviewing a guy that they just announced FBI's going to move their official headquarters to Greenbelt, Maryland.
Oh.
And I was like, no thanks. Like, if I was working for the FBI now, that would be it. Like, I would be changing my career because, like, if you live in Northern Virginia, like, that is extremely difficult to get to. It's like on the other side of the Beltway.
Oh, man.
And so, look, I learned in interviewing Ethan from the zoo, they're trying to build a zoo here,
Yeah.
that, like, we're the 110th largest city. We're a secondary market. We have a ways to go
Yep.
to be a really large city where you have the subway system and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
But the housing and the growth, I remember that in the 80s. I mean, we moved out to Herndon, which was like the sticks, which is like Dulles Airport area. And of course, that's all grown up around it. But
Yeah.
everywhere you look, there were things under construction. So I kind of like that. Like that just shows progress. And
Sure.
I mean, that's one of the great things about living in this area is like, so I used to work for Cook Museum.
did you?
And like they kind of had like some talks going on with the zoo that's supposed to be coming and everything. I mean, I think it's just, now you've got the ball field for the trash pandas and you've got, the botanical gardens, and they've done it. That is one part of the infrastructure I feel like has been done really well is that like Decatur's like a 20, 30 minute drive from here, which is nothing.
Yeah.
The water park in Coleman, Wildwater, is 40 minutes from here,
Yeah.
And so it's like they've like placed all these things strategically just far enough out that they're not all on top of each other.
Yeah.
And they're a little, spread out, but they're still really easy to get to.
You know what's interesting too is I have noticed, everyone complains about the traffic in Madison. In fact, I have that sticker down there if you see it. Actually, this is a foul wow design. Madison traffic breaks my heart. But I'm like, traffic, whatever. Now, lately it actually has been more noticeable when I just drive down to like outside Gate 9. But at the same time, the one thing I really missed about DC, because everybody had a commute, I kind of missed my commuting time. Books on tape, your
Sure.
favorite radio show, like it forced you to just have that was your time.
It's like your decompression time.
Yeah.
And then when I worked at the museum, it was a 30-minute. So I lived in Tony at that time, which for those who don't know, it's like in between Ardmore and Harvest, essentially. So it'd be about a 45-minute drive for me to go from Tony to Decatur. And at first, like I was like, I have to work at the museum. I can't not work at the museum. That's awesome. And so I was like, I'm just gonna make it work. Thinking, the drive's gonna be awful. Man, I knocked out so many books. And I know Chelsea's not my book girly, but I'm a book girly for sure. We're gonna turn you. But I listened to so many, like Brandon Sanderson. I knocked out some of his books so fast, just on that drive, and it was great. By the time I got home, I was like I'm good.
And
Yeah.
might I add
Sure.
that everybody that complains about the traffic in Madison, not a one of them live in Madison.
That's probably true. Yeah.
I swear. I'm like,
And so it's like the one day they have to run an errand or
Yes.
something, and
yes,
it's in Madison.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. They get on 72
Yeah.
from Slaughter to County Line. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
But like, you don't live in Madison. So.
No.
Yeah.
I'm
Why are
actually
you
going
talking
to.
about it?
I go to DC this week. I was there a month ago, and I always fly into DC, even though I'm going out to Herndon to Dulles Airport. And I was telling someone it's the same thing. Like I worked at CIA. If you work at FBI, like there's a level of patriotism that you don't know until you get to experience that, right? And kind of go into their headquarters every day. And the same thing, it's a nation's capital, right? And I need to fly in and just be reminded at times, right? And to fly on along the river, and there's the monuments, and then a lot of times I'll do that just to see what's changed. Because as a boy, I spent some of my years with my grandparents just outside DC, and so I like to just drive and see, does anything changed? But man, that traffic is atrocious, and it's on another level. So it's like I'm always like, please not be the day that's gonna take me 3 hours.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I went to Atlanta like 2 years ago for like a vacation, like a friend's vacation. It was the dumbest thing. But I mean, coming home, I was like, oh, I will take Madison traffic any day over
Atlanta's bad.
a one block of
Or
Atlanta.
Nashville, even,
Nashville's
or
not
Birmingham.
bad.
I'm just like, y'all, we do not have it bad here.
You just
We
went to the
really
zoo down in
don't.
Birmingham, didn't you?
I did.
How was it?
That was fun. You know, it was good. My youngest son, he really needs to like be tethered to me at all times because he's just like he'll just
He'll just
he will
disappear.
just run wide open, and I am not that fast. Like he's going to be on the track team or something when he's a little older, but my oldest really enjoyed it, and we went for his birthday and he wanted to see specifically a lion. So we got to see a lion, we got to see giraffes and elephants and all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, my youngest, I'm gonna give him a year till we do anything like fun again.
No fun.
That's hard.
fun.
Yeah.
I remember that. You kind of like, you think, leaving for your, like, I don't know, like TJ Maxx, and you think you know where your kids are, and you spend, oh, let me look at this little shirt, and then they're just gone.
No way.
No, because
You
their
know?
favorite thing to do is to hide in the clothes racks
No way.
and scare
But it's just
strangers.
amazing how you think, just when you think, oh yeah, I somehow am aware where they're at. No, they're long gone.
They're gone.
He's
I
the
mean,
monk.
if there's a shopping cart he can sit in, great. But if there's not, he's staying his butt at home.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Mine hates the cart. She won't sit in it.
Yeah, Warren doesn't love it, but if I give him like something to keep him distracted, he's okay.
Oh.
But
So let me tee up this question. Question for Chelsea. We get knocks on our door all the time, particularly after there's been a storm, to see it, to check about roof replacement. I'm hoping I get a damaged roof so I can get it replaced by insurance. But so let's talk about now the roofing, because that's fairly new.
yep.
And then as a follow up, when she's done, let's talk about drone photography
Yeah.
and explore that side.
Well, and Ammon's got a drone too.
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we started McKinney and Sons Roofing in July. And it has been a learning experience. So we have a unlimited home builder's license, so we can do roofs, and we have been for the last few years, not 10 a month, but more like, 5 a year, something like that, for our flips, for friends and family that needs it, because we can do that kind of thing. We can pull the permits and all that stuff. I had never really worked with insurance adjusters until July. And I was just kind of like thrown into the fire because our agreement, right? Ammon's a people person. So he can go out, he can make the sales, he can talk to people, he can do all of that. I'm the like introverted back office kind of girl. And so I do all the estimates, I do all the invoicing, I talk to the adjusters, I, talk to the clients, I get selections and all that stuff. Okay. And some of these insurance adjusters, man, they are brutal. They are brutal. It's like they don't want
No.
our mutual client. I can't tell you how many times I've written that in an email. I want what's best for our mutual client. Like, you represent them as well as I do. You know what I mean? Like, so represent them well. But it's like I have to fight them tooth and nail to get, not all of them,
Yeah.
but
Some.
some of them.
Yeah.
And I'm getting better at it, you know, as I go.
Just to get more feisty.
Yeah, I really, and I'm good at being feisty via email. Thank goodness none of this is in person.
It's almost like,
crawl into a corner.
do they train you to act like this?
Can
This isn't really you, right, ma'am or sir?
Can I tell you, this is verbatim. Okay, what I got from an insurance adjuster.
Please.
I had gotten like the most bare bones claim summary. Okay, bare bones, and it was in Morgan County. Morgan County, Decatur City code is not the current code. So these code items that we're usually, installing, adjusters won't pay for them because the city doesn't require them. Okay. And so, like I said, bare bones claim summary. And so I sent this adjuster 3 questions. They were very simple yes or no questions. And he responded, if you cannot work with my numbers, I am happy to give your client the names of 3 local roofing companies that will.
Whoa.
My gosh. Oh my
And
gosh.
I replied and I said, that is so kind of you to offer to suggest other companies to my client. However, completely unnecessary and unprofessional.
Wow.
Yeah.
You also didn't answer any of my questions.
Yeah.
Did he reply?
He sure as hell didn't. He didn't.
Wow.
And I've gotten that same scenario with that particular adjuster a couple times.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. Like, why be nasty about it?
What's that movie? I love those like court movies where like whether it's an investigative reporter or just a detective that goes and like listen to an insurance company and they find out that by company policy deny. They don't even look at it until like it's like the 50th time or the 60th time, right? It has to pass some threshold before they actually will consider it, right? Or the damages have to be a certain amount.
Yeah.
And oh man, it's just I can't. I would never be able to have that job.
Oh, heck no.
I'd be like, you want me to do what? Like, no, I can't do it.
I know. I was like, don't rub your miserableness off on me.
It's like a call center worker. Like, that's what I imagine
man.
they probably feel like, I mean.
I guess.
Or just being hung up on all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of those. I mean, it's a reputable thing where it's like a police association that wants donations, but they spoof the number. So it's a different area code. It's the same guy.
Yeah.
And I know that technology is to like create it, but it's like, why can't you just be straightforward more? Just call me from the same number.
Right.
Have it show up police association. Not like you're in Florida one day and now you're in New York. Like, so are you really a police association? Because now I'm like, I just feel it's like it's dirty.
It is dirty. Yeah. And so like our volunteer fire department just like stakes out on each like street corner, like in our area. And so I'll drop them cash all the time there. They'll come door to door and that's like, I can write a check, whatever. But if you call me, you won't get a dime out of me.
Actually, I interviewed Drew, who works for volunteer at Harvest.
Okay.
He works for First Stop, is his normal job.
Okay.
I keep forgetting his last name. It's been a long time ago.
I don't know many people, so I can't help you out there.
You know more people than I do.
Well, sometimes it's just
That's
like
pitiful.
if
know.
my daughter's name is Alicia,
Okay.
and you're Alisa,
I am.
right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like sometimes there's just people like I can't get it straight, even if I've met you 100 times.
I'm awful
There's
with
something
names.
about it where it reminds me of something else.
I was a vet tech for 15 years.
Really?
Before this, I've done a lot of things. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
But I was a vet tech for 15 years, and I can look at someone and be like, "Oh, you're Rosie," and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "No, you're golden retriever, Rosie," and they're like, "Oh yeah." I've done that so many times; it's embarrassing. Yeah.
My husband called me by the wrong name the first night we met.
What do you call you?
Rachel.
Oh.
Not even close.
And
Is that like an anagram in
I
Chelsea?
think,
I know.
it's got the CHEL at the end and mine's at the beginning. But he said, and what's your name again? Rachel? And I was like, why didn't you just stop it? And what's your name again?
Yeah.
I would have answered you.
Well, in all fairness, you guys essentially met on a game show.
We did.
So, like,
Did you really?
yeah.
What game show was this?
So Huntsville Young Professionals was hosting like the dating game, like reminiscent of like the old show
The
where
Bachelor
there was
number 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I went with for a night out with some friends, and turns out one of the bachelors that was selected for the show, he like had to back out the day before.
Oh.
And Ammon ended up knowing someone who was, you know, putting it all together. And she called him and she was like, you've got to help me out. Please be the bachelor. Like, and he was like, you know what? It'll be fine. It'll be fun. And I was sitting at a table in the corner, and the owner of the restaurant walked out of the kitchen, walked straight up to my table and said, do you want to be a contestant tonight? And my friends that were there with me were like, yes, she does. She absolutely does. They didn't give me a chance to answer. And so I was contestant number 3, and Ammon was the bachelor. And we were, you know, behind a screen, and he asked us all sorts of dumb questions. And
Were you there?
No, I was not. I heard about it after the fact.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And he ended up choosing me. And so we have a like picture of the second that we met, which is pretty cool. Who else can say that, right?
Wow.
And we were married 5 months later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, was Rachel one of the other contestants?
No. He's just really bad with me.
Or maybe she was a server or someone, and like somehow there was a Rachel involved that
I
night.
don't know.
Had I not known Ammon, I would be like, that's weird. But now that I like knowing him, I'm like, eh.
He's so spacey.
So then the second date, just, okay, this is good.
Well, so so the whole premise was like, there were 2 bachelors, 2 bachelorettes. So there was going to be 4 couples that night. Okay. And later in the month or something, they were going to take us to like dinner and a hockey game. So it was going to be like one big group outing. And so the next day he like added me on Facebook, and he Facebook messaged me, and he was like, hey, so this isn't awkward. Like when we go do our group date, like we should be friends. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then he asked for my phone number. And then I was out at like a movie that night, and he was working nights at the time. So his like lunch hour was like midnight. And so I was out at a late movie, and he was like, do you want to meet me at IHOP? And I was like, sure.
Okay.
So I met him at IHOP. He finished his pancakes and syrup and proceeded to like lick the plate in front of me.
Really?
He was just, I mean, I guess
He was being
just-
comfortable.
He was really figuring out if I was down.
And this was like 1 in the morning?
This was like 1 in the morning, like
Yeah.
the night after we met. And so we just started like hanging out and talking. And I told my dad, I was like, I think this guy's like my best friend. There was no like real, like not at first at least, no
Yeah.
real like romantic thing. And then once we decided we were like girlfriend and boyfriend, it was,
Yeah.
I think we were engaged like, I don't know, 4 months after we met. And then I have a stepdaughter who, she was 4 at the time. She's 14 now. She was here for the summer. We had gotten engaged like middle of July, and she was going to be here for, I don't know, maybe just a week or 2. And I went over to where they were after work one day, and she ran up to me and gave me a big hug, and she said, Chi-Chi, I get to be the flower girl when you and Daddy get married next week. And I said, what? Excuse me? I said, when? She said, next week. We had already had a wedding planned for October, and this was like July. So we ended up getting married in our backyard.
I was there for that one.
Yep.
Wow.
I took pictures of that
So
one.
so Bree could be here, and she was our flower girl, and that was August 1st. So
Yep.
10 years ago.
Wow.
Yep. Pretty crazy.
So he was married before? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
I just saw a funny thing, a friend of ours, like on Facebook. There's so many things on Facebook you see, right? And it was like, isn't it? I can't remember how it starts out. It's like, you know, you have your ex, and your ex just met someone who thinks they are like the best thing ever, the love of their life, and it's just kind of like puts things in perspective, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw one the other day that was like, now you get to like sit back and watch them like kind of laugh
Right.
that they're going to be with, that's
They
not
just
my
met
ex,
someone
that's my
special.
friend. Yeah. Yeah.
Marriage is wild.
Yeah. it
I know.
is.
I've been married almost. I think we're going on 26 years.
Nice.
It's crazy.
Dang, man.
It's a long time.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I've been married forever, but Andrew and I, we just had our anniversary last month, and it was 3 years for us.
3 years for you? Good.
Yeah. Second time around, that'll be it. I told him, I'm like, this doesn't work. I'm done.
Same.
I'm like, well, and in all fairness, when so Andrew and I, my husband, went to high school together too.
Yeah.
And he was the quietest person
Yes.
on the planet. Like, he still kind of is, unless like you really get him inebriated, and then he won't be quiet. But I mean, he like Facebook messaged me. Man, Facebook has brought so many people together. But he Facebook messaged me, he's like, I think we went to high school together. And I was like, I'm going through a divorce. I'm not interested. I'm good. I was so mean. I really was. I was like, because I was like literally in the thick of it. I was like, I have no desire for any of that. I was like, I'm good. I don't have to ask permission for anything. I can do whatever I want. I've got my kid. No.
Hard stop.
There you go. How many?
We were
was
married.
like 5 months?
We were married a year after, like literally. So our anniversary is October 2nd, and that's like the day that essentially that we started talking. The year before. We really only waited because I had to wait for my divorce to finalize.
Okay.
So yeah, we were married like 5 months after my divorce was final.
And I'm sure you had a few of those moments like, what did I just do?
Oh yeah, I still kind of do every now and then. I'm like, did I really do that? And I mean,
So did you go to high school with Lauren Mills Marsh from Ridgeline?
We went to school with her younger sister.
Her younger sister.
Yeah,
She's a little
who
older
is a
than you.
doctor now.
Oh, really?
She's killing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of successful women in that family. That's
boss babe.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. She had the child in her senior year, and I interviewed her.
I want to say she was 4 or 5 years older than us.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bob Jones. I've interviewed a lot of alumni from Bob Jones. I guess that's what happens when you focus on North Alabama,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right. Yeah.
Clemens, I think maybe only one because it's still fairly new.
Yeah.
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 What do you all think though of like the growth? I mean, you've been here your whole life.
I sure have.
You know, I know you asked me that question, but what do you think?
So coming from a smaller town before, the whole reason I moved here was because Huntsville was like more of a happening place. And I think that Huntsville will always remain one of the best places to live, as it's been titled before, because it still has that hometown feel without feeling like it's too big for its britches. You've got all these great aspects that are coming and that are, growing. But it doesn't feel like we're on top of each other. If you've been here for a while, it will start to feel that way just because you're used to like, that used to be a cotton field,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how any city gets to be. I mean, it's going to grow and it's going to expand. But for someone who's been here since 9th grade, 15, 16 years, it, to me, still has that hometown feel, like especially like close to where I grew up, or even the outskirts of it. So I think the growth is good, and I think it will continue to be good as long as Huntsville's staying true to Huntsville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same for you.
I am so jealous of all the young adults who get go out and have fun at all the cool new places.
Yeah.
Because, I left, I went to Bama for, college, and then I came right home, and I never really had intentions to go anywhere else. And I think in my early mid-20s, I would have really enjoyed some of the cool new stuff that, like the Trash Pandas. I've been to one game, but I think I was a lot more social back then.
Yeah.
But I think I would have enjoyed a lot. So I'm excited for the young adults who live here who get to go out and experience all this cool stuff. So
Yeah. I was just up in, we had never been to Nashville. We went last week, kind of more near like the Vanderbilt campus in Belmont. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And every time I go downtown, I'm reminded of why people love the city, and I might want to live downtown at some point. It's just a different way of living,
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
our downtown is really a nice downtown.
Yeah.
And being in Nashville and, Atlanta, visiting those cities. And then coming home, I'm like, oh, our town is so much cleaner and
get
like
around.
just feels, and it feels safer, than those towns. Even Chattanooga, like I like how some of Huntsville is turning into like that Chattanooga vibe, like kind of eclectic, but still like a place for everybody. So I like that.
Well, that's one of the cities that they modeled all of their plans here.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Chattanooga?
They interviewed downtown Huntsville. So Chad Emerson used to be the CEO. He's now with the soccer team.
Yep.
And I haven't met the new guy, but in that interview, and then even talking about Mayor Battle, they went up to Chattanooga a few times, and just a lot of like, hey, so how did you go about doing this? A lot of questions. What were your lessons learned? And I think a lot of what they've done is patterned after that.
Oh,
That's cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do a great job of doing their homework.
Yeah.
Even with the Orion Amphitheater, they did a whole music audit and brought a company from London here. And it wasn't just, hey, build this. You need a music board, and you need to allow the bussikers, like the people who just play on the street. Like, make sure you allow people to play on the street, and make sure, like, just all these little laws at times and policies that can be tweaked to support music and the arts.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be, I certainly didn't picture myself still living here.
No?
When I was in high school, I was like, oh, like I'll live in Washington State or somewhere that feels really like, nature-y.
Oh, okay.
Pacific
Okay.
Northwest area. But, like, I don't know. It's the things that I loved about being in Dothan. Dothan was only a family town. There was nothing to do. It was like, every Friday night you're watching the kids play football or whatever. And then like you're going home or you're going out to eat or whatever. That was it. Whereas like here it's got a little bit of everything. And I'm excited to see like how my girls grow up here and like what things they get into and enjoy. And so, yeah.
I want to shift gears. I want to talk about timeshares. You said you bought a timeshare.
I did.
And I've always been wanting to ask someone, I hope you don't mind me asking this, and I just find it interesting that there's these businesses all geared towards getting you out of your timeshare.
Yeah.
Where do you, talk to me about timeshares.
Well, so, the traditional timeshare kind of gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
Ours is a point system. And so we have so many points that we can use per year at any location.
Okay.
So it's better than like your 1 week in December at the Hilton Garden Inn or whatever it is, we have only been to Orlando so far with it. We bought it last year, and there's this big, beautiful resort called the Fountains, and they've got several pools, and they've got, there's always a calendar full of things going on at the resort. And they have this like Polynesian luau every Tuesday with like really good food and like people throwing fire and stuff like that. So, and it's like 7 minutes from Disney. So we go there a lot. And Hilton actually just bought Blue Green Vacations.
Oh, okay.
And we're a Blue Green timeshare holder.
So now you're part of Hilton.
So now we're part of Hilton. I don't know what that means yet because it like just happened last week. So I'm assuming and hoping that we're going to have access to even more resorts. But at the same time, I think that means that there's a boatload of people who are already Hilton owners who are going to have access to our resorts as well. So there may be a little bit more competition. Like there's a resort in Aruba that is like supposed to be amazing and awesome. And I'm part of this Blue Green Owners Facebook group. And it's so hard to get a reservation there that there will be people who will, if they have to cancel their reservation in Aruba, they'll get on the group, they'll post, I'm canceling my reservation for this date through this date at, at this resort in Aruba, and I'm going to do it at 5 p.m. Central Time.
Oh, wow.
And then there are people who like log on and are trying to get this canceled reservation. So, I feel like probably with the Hilton buyout, it'll probably be a little bit more competition, but at the same time, I'm always cool with more places to go.
So the draw is unlike, you could do an Airbnb and all that, but you're getting the consistency, I guess, with the timeshare, right? Or if you, it almost sounds like you're it's like this country club model. The same thing they're doing with boats now. I think there's like boat clubs you can join, and depending on what plan you sign up for, you can have access to any boat, maybe just on the weekends or the weekdays. And now I think timeshare really is just kind of, hey, you want to go on vacation? Great. Here's our locations, and different than an Airbnb or a Vrbo or whatever, or even a hotel. I guess you're guaranteed a experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and there's also something that we have used. There's something called bonus time. So if you use all your points, which it's hard to use all your points unless you travel often, bonus time will get you, I think, like at the fountains in particular, a 2-bedroom unit is like $79 a night. And it's a really nice 2-bedroom unit. Or a 3-bedroom unit, it's like $89. A 3-bedroom presidential suite, which is like the creme de la creme. Okay. It's like $100 a night. So like you have access to that stuff, even if you've used all your points. And I don't know, I've definitely felt some buyer's remorse like right after purchasing it. But we went to Orlando like 3 times last year, and we've been twice this year, and we take all our family. Like
but
when we go, my mom, my stepmom, my sister, our nanny, like we all go together, and we always get 2 rooms, and we have so much fun together.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Well, I would imagine it's tough, right? If all you ever hear is, we can help you cancel your timeshare.
Yeah.
And then you're probably thinking, why did I just do something that for some reason, like there's such a disdain towards?
Yeah.
But good for you.
It's the maintenance fees. Everybody hates maintenance fees. Nobody wants to pay $2,000 a year. But if you're using it and you're going on 5 vacations in a year, well, $2,000 isn't bad for 5 vacations if you really think about it.
Yeah.
It's those people who don't use it that really regret it and are getting nothing out of it and probably would like to get out of it, So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now on the this kind of leads into just the sloppiness of people. I would hope that timeshare, when you leave, that you actually leave it as you found it. But I'm just amazed at just people. And I was hearing you all talk about this on your show, right? As far as, oh, you want me to take pictures of your home, and then you show up and you're like, did you think about actually cleaning or straightening up, or talk me through some of the more unique things that you've encountered when you've been asked to come and shoot a home, if you don't mind.
I've walked into a home that beds weren't made. They have like a bag, I don't do this, but people like to hang like Walmart bags on a drawer knob that, they just put trash in that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. But I think probably one of the worst ones, it's people want to see their showers. They want to see what a shower looks like in a home. Even if it's just like a stand up, they want to see what the shower head looks like or whatever. Cause people replace those and, but I've walked into some really nasty showers, just real disgusting. And the old me used to go in there and I'd take all the shampoo bottles out. I'd pick up people's nasty pumice stones and take those out. Now I'm well, you didn't read the email. This is what your picture is going to be, and that was hard for me to change.
Are they expecting you to clean? Or do they just?
Yeah, I think they expect me to do some level of pickup, and I realize that's not even just me. That's just anybody. As a realtor, so Kathy and I have a co-listing together, and we've had to kind of navigate some of those things with people. Where if you have pets, it's hard because people don't want their pets to get out, but also if you have an elderly dog that might have some issues, and then you have a showing pop up. Sometimes the agent has to go out there and handle some business, and I think that's a lot of misconception about people in real estate agents. They think oh, they take home this big check. Well, by the way, our big check isn't the full 3%, there's fees that we pay out of that. But then we also have, dues that come from the managing agencies of realtors. And then we also are picking up dog crap. So
yeah,
it's I can say I've never done that.
Yeah, well,
I would probably just step over.
It's probably because I'm a new agent and I'm.
When you do shoot those, then they complain, or do you not even shoot them?
No, I shoot them. Sometimes I'll call. So one thing that my business coach has told me, I hired a business coach, He told me, he said, here's what I do. He says, I will call them and say, hey, Joe Blow, I'm here to shoot your house, and I am so excited to do it. Like, it's the cookie, right? It's the Oreo. You have like the good news, the bad news, and the good news. You squish them together. So it's like, I'm so excited to be here and shoot your home. I did notice that your dog had some issues. I can definitely take care of that. Or I can edit it out, which is 9 times out of 10 what you do. I mean, if it's a showing, you have to man up and get it up. But if you're editing it, it's like, oh, I'll just edit that right out. I'm happy to edit that out for an additional blah, blah, blah fee.
You pay for it, yeah.
Yeah. And, because it shouldn't be on me to make sure your house looks presentable for its pictures so that it sells.
Well, and honestly, like, showings are one thing, pictures are another, right? Like, I get if you're at work and you have a dog at your house, like,
Things happen.
But like pictures, you know about in advance. So
Yeah.
put your animal in the car that is on.
Yeah.
Well, it's just...
And then come in and do a final sweep and clean up and make sure everything's good.
So when you had pictures taken of your home in Virginia, did y'all leave the house to take the pictures, or were you there for the photographer?
I think we left the house.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I mean, maybe...
You're
I know
like
I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of like, well, look, the whole process, you better be pretty trusting.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have all kinds of showings.
Yeah.
You're out of the house for that.
Yeah.
Right? People are coming and going.
Yeah.
And,
I'm
if
really-
you have some valuables, then just lock them away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm really not that like I'm not angry about it. Okay. Like if like the one of the last ones I did, this lady was like packing up. She had her dog in the car. She's like, okay, like I'm leaving. She goes, oh, by the way, my elderly mother is here. She doesn't speak a lick of English. She doesn't want to come with me. So see you in a little bit. And I was like, how do I explain to her that I need to shoot her room and I need her to step out? So I literally was just like,
Elisa's about to have to edit a whole person out of these pictures.
and see, now they fine you if there's a person in the picture. The agent gets fined. And so that's been a good thing for me. And it's not that I love meeting people. I will talk to people
Sure.
all day long. I'm very social. It's that when you're here and then you go to the next room, you've left your coffee cup or, whatever, something. It's always something. It's always something. And I will fess up and say the first house that I ever shot, I missed a room.
Did you really?
The person was there. They were talking to me. I was like, yeah, we're vibing. Like, this is great. Da, 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 da. Making a connection. I skipped an entire room. Had to drive 45 minutes back out to get it.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. Distractions.
I would say,
yeah.
Someone was like, we went through that process, as I mentioned earlier, that the information is so good now that real estate agents provide for the most part. And I'm assuming you guys are on this level where someone's like, you let your wife buy a house and you didn't see it? I'm like, I saw a million pictures. They're all really good pictures. In fact, they took video. She walked through. I mean, I can see the dimensions of the floor plan. Like, I trust her.
Yeah.
It looks good. Like, and then I show up and then it's not like anything was like, oh my gosh, this is complete. I can't believe you didn't shoot this room, or I had this expectation in mind.
Yeah. I mean, smell is really the only thing that you can't account for in the pictures. I mean, so, and as an agent, I mean, there's been times when, we've had conversations about smell. So, if I have a buyer and they're seeing it sight unseen, I'm going to be like, hey, this smells like dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing that a little bit of paint probably can't fix. Or like if it's got carpet, and the carpet doesn't look great, going to replace it. That's a bargaining chip.